say it was divine that said, don't get it twisted. Love is a beautiful thing. And indeed, love is actually a beautiful thing. If you found the one, like if you found the one person. In my case, I had to wait for a while. And I'm glad to say that my wait was actually worth it. Anyway, welcome once again to my channel, guys. Oh God, the love you guys showed on the first video I dropped recently after a while was just a lot. Like, I'm very grateful from the bottom of my heart. I'm very grateful to you guys. And after dropping the video, I was a little bit skeptical that a lot of persons will see the video because it's been a while, of course, and I had a target of 50 views, and thankfully, as at when I am making this video, I got that 50 views, all thanks to you guys. Omo, thank you, Twali. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. So that has actually inspired me to go ahead and continue this video, and I'm very I don't want to make any promises this year. Basically, for me, it's going to be taking a step at a time, because I feel like when I make promises, I put myself under pressure, and when I don't fulfill, I get dampened, and then I go back into my shell and stuff like that. This year, I'm trying not to make so much promises, but trying as much as possible to be here. You know, I want to create a lot of content, and I pray that somehow I get to meet that goal this year. Yes, happy new year, guys. Welcome to a beautiful brand new year, like it is. I'm very excited because I know that this year we are breaking grounds. We are breaking grounds. Amen. Somebody say amen. Amen. We are breaking grounds. So, as the topic implies, I kept my my proposal a secret, and here is why. Now, a lot of persons, when they get proposed to, it is the excitement for me. Everybody, they want to show you, I said yes, I said this, he said it pops the question, and I answered, and all. But for somebody that has waited for quite a while, for me, I was very excited, trust me. And my first impulse was to tell the world that, man, all those people where they ask me, all those people they pray for me, anytime you see me in parties, you come and be saying kabashing on top of my head. I had the urge to start making noise and blowing this so that, babe, people of God, your girl has been engaged. Trust me on that one. I wanted so bad to blow the whistle, but I've gotten to the point of my life where I understand the spiritual implication of a lot of things. People are with you, people are around you, they like you, and some persons don't actually like you, and some persons will do anything to truncate your happiness. It was with this understanding that my husband and I decided to keep the proposal on the low. Like, we wanted to go ahead with the planning, wanted to put a lot of things together before the word started going out that, okay, this is happening. I mean, before they start hearing and start trying to act, we have moved forward. That was our idea, and we wanted to pray. Wanted to pray about it. We prayed before. Like, there was a time my husband said, let us pray about our life as individuals and as people that were in a relationship, even before the engagement happened. And now that the engagement had happened, we were still praying that God should take absolute control. We wanted God to be in the middle of everything that we're doing. We understood that fact, and we understood that this world is very spiritual. So we wanted to start on that ground. I have seen a lot of engagements gone wrong. I have seen a lot of proposals gone wrong. The devil is not sitting down. The devil knows that. The devil is basically against marriage. You know, the devil is against serious relationships. So when he's saying that this thing is tilting towards marriage or something, it's going to bring something to truncate it. We understood that, and we were not going to be a party to plenty noise making. It was more like, okay, now me and you did this relationship, now me and you know what you want to do, now me and you go do them. The only people that I let into the into the fact that my status has been changed from a girlfriend to a fiance was my family. I told them that okay, this was what had happened, but guys, please, for the sake of God, you guys should keep it on the down low. And my family pretty much understood, and they tried as much as possible. I know that for the longest time it was just me, my husband, and my immediate family that knew what was happening. Down to my friends, it was very, very tempting to call them up and say, guy, but after a while, one or two of them started hearing about it. But for the longest time, I tried to keep it between my family, his family, me and him, yeah. And that was that for that. Now the second part of this video, which is the things you need to put in place when you start preparing for your wedding. So as somebody that has never for once been in anybody's plan during their wedding, or more, the first few weeks after my engagement, I was hearing a lot of things I needed to do for the wedding, and for the longest time it was like they were speaking gibberish. The details were just too much. Like, really, people go through this? I have done ashebi girls for people, I have done flower girls for people, but I've never for once been at the forefront of anybody's wedding. Just tell me that you want me to be your ashebi girl, tell me the amount. If I want to come through, I'm going to come through. If I cannot pull up for you, I'll come as your guest, and things like that. But I've never been at the forefront running around for anybody. So I had to do this. What are you guys saying? Please, is this what brides go through? Guy, it was just too much. But at the end of the day, I had to put myself together and tell myself that I needed to necessarily start from somewhere. And basically for this video, I'm going to start with the first major considerations you need to put into place. Then subsequently we can talk of other considerations. I don't want to make this video too long because almost the story plenty. So for us, the first consideration was the date. Now the date, as a lady, I wanted it to be as soon as possible, and I was going for May, June, July, And Oga was saying, babe, are you reasoning? I want to gather money. It's not easy to bring this particular sum of money to say, okay, this is what I want to do with this money. I mean, where the money even there in the first place? So at the end of the day, it was like, okay, let us do November 13th. And November 13th happened to be his birthday, and it pretty much fell on a Saturday. But me, winchy that I am, I said, guy, you will not get that November 13th by fire by force. November 13th, we are not doing that day. So after all back and forth, I wanted it to be August, but at the end of the day, we settled for October 2nd. Although the dates for the wedding actually got changed eventually, but that's a discussion for another. So the second consideration we necessarily needed to put in place was where the wedding was going to take place, which was the location. One would think that being the lady, the wedding will happen at wherever it is I wanted, but my husband being the Igbo man, he was like, once I don't pay your dowry and I don't do your traditional rites, anywhere I talk say the wedding go happen, and there go happen. And it was a dilemma for me, but it was also putting the fact that his dad was on the sick bed as at that time. Like, his father was sick. He really wanted the father to be at the wedding, so he wanted it to be at Enugu. My family happens to be in Asaba, his family happens to be at Enugu, so he really wanted it to be at Enugu. It didn't really make much sense to me to an extent, and on the other hand, it actually made some sense to me, but I didn't know anybody in Enugu. I had only been to Enugu once, twice, 3 times, prior to when we started the preparation for our wedding. So how was I going to put my wedding together? Was I going to be a guest at my wedding? Because I've seen situations where people allow other persons do the preparation for their wedding for them, and then they come, everything is more like is strange to them. I didn't want my wedding to be like that. So I did what any other girl would do. I played the politics. I started calling his friends and telling them, you know, in a subtle way, not like directly, that this is what your friend is talking on, and I don't really understand. How do they do this at your side? And all of them were like in support of my opinion, because it was easier for me to navigate myself and plan my wedding, you know, the way I wanted it if I was at Asaba. So, and besides, I felt like it was our wedding, my wedding, his wedding, and as selfish as that could have seemed, I wanted it to be my wedding, you know. I didn't want any other person to plan it for me. And somehow I was praying that before the wedding, before we got to the time for the wedding, something would have happened. His father would have been healed or better to travel to Asaba, but I was pinned on us doing it in Asaba. And after all said and done, and his friends talking here and there and trying to make him see reasons, he finally settled for Asaba. So that being said, the next consideration to take note of is the finances. Now, the finances basically controls every other thing you want to do for your wedding. The number of persons to invite, the vendors to contact, finances basically brings everything together. So for me, my husband is an able man. Like I've always said that he knows how to pick calculator. He's always pressing calculator for everything. And it was like, the only amount of money that I am willing to bring out for this wedding is 1 million naira. I don't know how it will happen, how we can do it, but this is the amount of money I'm willing to bring out for this wedding. And I was like, okay, fine. And it was gracious enough to bring out some amount of money and give to me that, okay, you take care of your end with this amount of money while I take care of the other things with this amount of money. And I was like, okay, thankfully that will go a long way. But at the same time, I needed to double my hustle, because there are a lot of things that comes with wedding that I know that I should necessarily foot. He's an able man. If I ask him that, okay, or if I tell him that I need to get so and so thing or do so, he would always want to provide. But I just felt like it was not right for me to burden him with so much responsibility. I needed to double my hustle. I needed to put some things in place. I needed to make some things happen for myself. I needed to put things together the way I would want to have my wedding. So I doubled. I tried to do certain things without telling him. If I tell him, he would want to take care of it. And I don't know how some persons do it. Some persons will allow their husband do this, do that. But for me, I'm not mechanically and physically built like that. So it was not something I would necessarily allow. Those things I felt like I couldn't do by myself, I allowed them to do. Those things I could do by myself, I doubled my hustle and made happen. So we had that finance. Okay, this is the budget we have in mind. This is the money we are willing to allocate for this wedding. Because truth is, if you want to do a 500,000 naira wedding, you can achieve it conveniently. If you want to do a 5 million naira wedding, you can still achieve it conveniently. If you want to do a 2 million naira wedding, you can still achieve it conveniently. But you necessarily need to have an idea of what you are going to be spending your money on, how much you are willing to allocate to this part of everything. Because one thing we didn't want was to finish our wedding and then having debts hanging over our head. That's one thing I'm grateful for, that even after our wedding, we didn't have any debt hanging over our head. So you don't want debt hanging over your head. So for me, I feel like if there's no best wedding. If you spend 15 million naira, you go do the wedding, you go pass. People go talk today, they go move on. That is how people are built. So if you kill yourself, now you sabi. I wanted a wedding of my choice, and at the same time, I didn't want a situation whereby we will be done, I'll call it our eye. So that was it for me. I was putting all those things into consideration, doubling my hustle and making sure that my husband too was doubling his hustle, making sure that okay, whatever it is we wanted to do, we got it, but we had an idea of how much we wanted to necessarily spend for that wedding. Now, understanding the amount of money we're willing to allocate for the wedding led us to the next consideration, which is the number of persons we wanted to be at our wedding. The number of persons we wanted to invite. I wanted it to be a small wedding. Like I said, I've always envisioned a small wedding, but I'm a crowd person. I don't have close knitted friends, but I know a lot of persons, people that once they hear saying that a woman they wed, they could just put body so I knew that there was no way I could do a small wedding. Besides, my dad is crowd. Now they do the wedding. Now picking in first picking. That man a good person. No, I go gas reach that place by fire, by force. The people that Mogbamoya, they go plenty for the wedding. We knew that one. So, but at the end of the day, we just said okay, we wanted to invite 150 persons, and we're expecting 300 persons. I don't know how that was going to work, and that wasn't so much of it for a small wedding that we were envisioning, but we're just putting other considerations in place, and so we settled for that number, considering the money we were allocating for the wedding. So it was not like, okay, when are we going to invite our families, like our extended family members? Okay, this is going to happen, and we decided that by August, when the invitation card will come out, we will start inviting them for the wedding, inviting people, inviting family members and all that. So another thing to take into consideration is timing. Timing is very, very important when you're trying to plan your wedding, because you'll be feeling like there's so much time. I feel they draw my leg, I feel they do whatever, and the wedding will come meet you for front, like it will just be in your face in the next minute. We had gotten engaged February 14th, Okwaya, and our wedding was slated for October 2nd, which was pretty much a long stretch of time. But that did not remove the fact that there was still an urgency inside me. Like I wanted everything to be like in place as soon as possible. As soon as my husband allocated some money to me personally, like for my personal need, I entered the Onitsha to go and buy my clothes, my shoes, my bag. As early as that time, at April, I was done with my personal purchase, and I started buying things for cooking and all. I had bought the bag of rice we needed, the food stuff we're going to need. I had gone to buy souvenir. As at May, I think most of our things were ready. So because most times when you tell yourself that there's time, you might the wedding will just come and meet you, and you'll be ill prepared, and there will still be no money for that time. So as soon as you've slated that okay, this is the time, like you've gotten engaged, this is the time you want to do your wedding, the period of time, immediately swing into action. There is no time. And as if I knew, as it was getting to June, July, things in the market became very, very expensive. Onitsha Road became a place that to go like your body go tell you. The hold up on that road was something else, and in that moment I was grateful that I had done all my purchases. Most of my Onitsha runs, I had done them earlier. All the souvenirs, my personal things, the things I needed to buy, I had bought them. So every other thing I needed, all those other small ceremony I needed to buy, I could basically do them within town. So you really want to make sure that your timing is right. You fix the date, swing into action. It's better that you're prepared and you're ready. You just sit down and wait for dates may come meet you, than say you dey wait for the time to come before you go do the thing. Don't worry, it go tell you. I feel like I will talk about vendors in the next video, because this is actually very, very extensive. Putting your finances, like the idea of the amount of money you have and the number of persons you want to invite, then what do you need, who and who should be at your wedding. You know, that vendors should come some other time. But other smaller things like the hashtag I got to know that color of the day gave me a huge time. Like, I couldn't even decide the color we needed to use for the wedding, but after I searched the internet, I surfed the net. I didn't know that choosing a color for your wedding was so much of a chore until it got my turn. But at the end of the day, shall we settled for hash white and horse blood. Yes. So yeah, that's that. So those are the initial considerations we put in place. Then we proceeded to other things, to the vendors, you know. So in my next video, I'll talk about the vendors, or subsequent videos. I don't know, it might just not be the next video or maybe 2 videos later, because there's just so much to talk about. I hope you got 1 or 2 things from this, because I learned some of these things the hard way. You know, I had to go through the process for the first time, and it was such a chore for me. But I'm grateful that I was able to get through that, and we successfully pulled a beautiful wedding. And yeah, in our next video, I'll see you. Bye.